Hey, I'm gonna build a deck out of this yogurt container and this plastic container that had strawberries in it and this container that had, I think, orange juice. Yeah, I'm gonna make a deck out of this. Just wait.
When we bought this house 3 years ago, this is the deck that we inherited. One of the things that bothered us right away was that short little platform when you come out the door and then down 3 steps. So we thought we'd extend the deck. We began to tear up the boards and discovered that the joists were rotten. So it looked like we were going to build a brand new deck. So we started tearing it up. The original deck was 17 feet wide and 16 feet long. I decided to extend the length to 22 feet. So now we had to bring in the big guns to put helical screws in the ground for a solid foundation, all 6 of them. Going down about 16 feet in one corner. So that's just about done. And now it's time for the lumber to arrive. And thanks to our neighbors, Peter and Josh, and that's Maxime, our contractor. We're hauling the lumber to the backyard, and work is about to begin. There they are, putting it together. We have 12-inch on-center joists. They are 2x12s. And now we're going to begin the taping. So, the tape contractor... Oh, where'd you go? And now the decking materials arrive. 100% recycled plastic, not composite. The brand name is Dekavie, from a company called Avenord, just outside Granby, Quebec. These are the plastic boards. You have to be careful when you install them, because they can bend almost like spaghetti. But they're tough. As you can see, they're tongue and groove. All right, it's time to start installing the boards. For the first board on the edge of the deck, we had to saw off the tongue from the tongue and groove boards. This is the only board where we put the screws directly into the top of the board. The rest go into the groove in the tongue and groove. We bore countersink holes and then tapped the plastic buttons into those holes so they look almost invisible. And then we begin putting the deck boards on, all 44 of them, 20-foot lengths. And because the deck is 17 feet wide, we do saw off the extra 3 feet, and we'll use it later for a fascia. With the boards from Dekavie, we ran into a little problem. We assumed the ends were cut 90 degrees exactly. So we lined them up at the edge, one after the other, just feeling the edges that they were together. As it turns out, the farther we got, the more they overhang. Don't assume they're always cut at 90 degrees exactly.
The last row, look how far they have gone.
Hey, do you remember seeing the gazebo on the old deck? Well, it was tricky getting it off the 18-inch high deck, but we needed to lift it back onto the 4-foot high deck. Thanks to my great neighbors, Josh, JF, and David, and my old muscles, we were about to try. First, we had to stand around strategizing.
There's no stop line in the way, so this will be easy.
Or should we take the front because we need to lift it on here?
Step 1.
So you're doing without on this?
My wife had some instructions of her own to ensure that we didn't create deep scars in our new plastic deck. Frankly, I never really liked that gazebo, but it came with the house. Now it's time to begin installing the railing, which also came from Dekavie. The balusters attached to the post with these little gizmos they call notches. I'm attaching one here with the little yellow guide that they provide. However, there seems to be no guide for the attachment on the top. So, I made my own crude guide to be sure that the notch is not going to move left or right when I attach the top notch. It's top notch. These are the railings that attach to the top of the balusters all around, top and bottom. But there's a problem. The baluster pieces are 60 inches exactly. However, the railings that come with it that fit over the top and bottom of the balusters are slightly longer by about 1/8 to 1/16 of an inch. So I have to cut them, all 12 of them. And the best saw I have for cutting is a Dremel Ultra Saw with a metal cutting blade. I don't know why the factory can't cut them to the exact length. There, the railing is done. And now time for the privacy wall. I'm cutting the railings that hold the privacy wall in place. So I have to cut them because I'm not going the full 6-foot length that we would normally do. So I'm installing the brackets for the side. Not always following the instructions as provided by the manufacturer, the people who make the privacy wall and the railing. Okay, the railings are in place, screwing them into the side of the posts. And now it's time to cut the actual boards, which are very lightweight, unlike the deck boards. And it'll be time to put them in place. And here we go. Quickly. Hurry up. Almost done. Almost there. And now put the top railing in, and we're done with the privacy wall. Now, time to install the glass railing. This can be tricky. So I have this one in place on the right. That was fairly easy. And then I have these double posts in the middle. The glass sections are each 6 feet wide, and the stair entrance is 3 feet from post to post. So I needed the extra double piece section in the middle. It was a math issue. My wife and I are installing the glass piece for the left side. But wait.
Please don't be too tight. Shit! Uh-oh. Didn't expect that to happen.
Okay. Well, as you saw, the top frame came off the glass. And then we tried to get the rubber sealer back in. We thought that it was sealed on there with some sort of cement or glue, but that was not the case. But it was a serious oversight on their part that they didn't mention you should not lift it up by the frame. As you can see, I have my guide on here, homemade guide. That one's secure. Well, so far, so good. That's done. And we just need to put the railings on, top and bottom.
Now, time to install the stairs. I bought 3 aluminum stringers, and I think that was enough for a 4-foot wide step. These are the solid treads that came from Dekavie. So I've just cut all the pieces that I need. They're 48 inches each, and they're heavy. And there is one thing. I advise when cutting with your saw that you cut slowly, that you move across the board slowly. Otherwise, it will heat up and bind. Also, the saw will kick back. So I've just cut all the pieces that I need. They're 48 inches each. So now it's time to do the measurements for the railing. Now, a note of caution. Always be careful when you're reading instructions. The instructions that come with this railing for the stairs has an error which confused me for a while. It turns out it should read, should not exceed 4 3/4 inches. Otherwise, the railing would be over the top of the post. Being a bit of a renegade, a rebel, I decided to not follow the rules as written down, but do my own, which I tied the railing to the post down below and up above. I put the marks on the railing, or on the baluster I should say, so that it lines up perfectly with the post and it's symmetrical. All right, I've cut the railing in the shop, and now I'm going to attach them to the notches that I installed on the posts earlier. It's so nice when it fits the way you expect it to. And after all of that, the stairs are done, and as you can see, I put the fascia on the side of the deck all the way around. It's done.